Hello gamers, I'm Travis and in this video I will be covering all there is to know about equipment in Tower of Fantasy. Similar to most RPG type games, equipment is gear that will increase your stats once equipped. In Tower of Fantasy, equipment serves a purely functional role and has no visual impact on your character. Another thing to note is that equipment will make up for around 40 to 50% of your combat score, so it is very important to your progression in the game. There are two types of equipment in the game, primary equipment and secondary equipment, and we will discuss in a little while why the two different types are important, but for now let's go over the basics. Primary pieces of equipment are helmet, shoulders, chest, bracelets, belt, gloves, leggings and boots. Secondary equipment is everything else. Similar to most things in game, equipment has different rarities. They are grey, green, blue, purple and orange. As we progress through the video, I will not talk about the grey, green and blue rarities as they become irrelevant very early on and they are just used as fodder to upgrade your main equipment. I mentioned that gear improves your combat score, and it does so by providing extra stats. Each piece of equipment will have three types of stats on it: base stats, random stats and enhancement unlocks. Base stats are predetermined by rarity of gear and slot, while random stats, as the name suggests, are random, and here is where we will be spending some time farming and obtaining those pieces of equipment with perfect stats for our builds. If you will want to have more than one elemental weapon set, you will most likely have to farm multiple sets of equipment. It's not too bad doing so, and realistically, it will only affect the whales of the game, since most players should focus on one set of weapons. The last type of stats are enhancement unlocks. These are predetermined stats that you unlock by enhancing your equipment. Now that we covered the basics, we can talk about how to obtain equipment. Primary equipment is obtained from Joint Operations, Frontier Clash, Crystal Dust Store, Crew Store, and as you progress in level, you will start getting gear from Password Chest in the open world. As for secondary equipment, things get just a little bit trickier, so bear with me while I explain. Unlike most MMOs, the developers of Tower of Fantasy opted to add more equipment slots with major content patches rather than add better equipment. This, in my opinion, is a brilliant move, because I always hated that my previous progress became obsolete every time a new expansion got released on some popular MMOs. To make things easier to understand, I will use a practical example. When raids will get added to Tower of Fantasy, we will be able to obtain a new piece of equipment from raids that will have its own slot. When 2.0 Vera update will release, we will gain another piece of equipment, and so on. I believe there are 3 pieces of secondary equipment at the moment on the Chinese servers. Now that we have a basic understanding of equipment and how to get it, let's talk about upgrading. There are 2 ways to upgrade equipment. The first way will be enhancement. This can be done using gold and booster modules, and every 5th upgrade level, extra materials called advancement modules will be required. Every enhancement level, your base stats will increase, and every 5th level you will gain an enhancement unlock stat. I mentioned that booster and advancement modules are required to enhance, so you might be wondering how to obtain them. The best way to do so is by Gone Phantasm and from the Crystal Dust Store on a weekly basis. If you want to drop some money on the game, you can obtain a few extra from the daily supply box and from the wormhole supply boxes in the cash shop. A few extra will also be offered in the paid section of the pass. Enhancement levels can be transferred from one piece of equipment to another of the same slot. This transfer is done without any loss of enhancement and for free, so as soon as you have materials to upgrade, you can do so without any worries. Enhancement should always be done in levels multiple of 5, because once all your primary equipment reaches a certain enhancement level, you will be rewarded with an enhancement set effect. Because of this, you will want to upgrade all your primary equipment to enhancement level 5, then to enhancement level 10, and so on. Another thing to keep in mind is that the secondary equipment will not count towards this enhancement set effect, and as a result, it will be lagging behind a little bit in enhancement levels. The second way to upgrade your equipment will be advancement. This will be performed by using other pieces of equipment and salvage materials to increase the star level of your equipment. And each time it gains a star, it will improve one of the bonus random stats that the gear has. Unlike enhancement, advancement will be fairly easy to max out. But since random stats are present, sometimes you will decide to change your equipment, and when you transfer advancement, you will suffer a 20% loss. That means that some consideration should be given before you decide to invest in advancing equipment. As a result of this, advancement should only be performed on purple and orange gear. If you are watching this video at a later date, you might be skipping the purple gear advancement altogether and go directly for orange gear, since people will be willing to carry you through operations. Right now, I recommend having 2 or 3 star purple equipment, as this will make farming orange gear from level 50 operations a faster and easier experience. If you are worried about the 20% loss on your investment, you shouldn't be, since this will be well worth it. The last thing I want to mention is what random stats you should be going for. If you decide to play the role of a tank, you will want to go for defensive stats, as your base attack stats will be more than enough to hold aggro. If you decide to play a healer, you will want a mix of defensive stats and attack. And if you decide to play a DPS, you will want to go for attack stats and elemental damage for the elemental build you are going for. This wraps up all there is to know about equipment. If you found this video helpful, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel, as this helps my video reach more people and it will help you keep up to date with future guides and videos. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one, adventurers.